If you watch a lot of crime films or TV shows, I'm sure you're familiar with the no man's land concept, an area where criminals fester and can get away with their nefarious deeds because of a lack of police presence. This is usually thousands of feet up in the air in an airplane or hundreds of miles out at sea on international waters. And that's because there's not a single bit of land on Earth that doesn't come under some governmental jurisdiction. Or is there? As it turns out, the USA is home to a small section of land where, technically, all crime is legal, including murder. But how, I hear you ask? Well, the Yellowstone National Park, a stunning display of natural beauty that is also home to the largest supervolcano on the planet. A supervolcano that could literally decimate the entirety of humanity in a matter of days if it were to ever erupt. But that's a topic for another day. Yellowstone is one of the largest national parks in the world, spanning 3 U.S. states, Wyoming, Idaho, and Montana, covering a total of 8,991 square kilometers, the majority of which is governed and maintained by the United States District Court for the District of Wyoming, except for a small 129.5 square kilometer area of the park located in Idaho, nicknamed the Zone of Death. In this particular area, if you were to commit a crime, you cannot and will not be prosecuted for it. This bit of land is the subject of a major loophole in the American Constitution. You see, Wyoming's district court has power over the entirety of Yellowstone. It's actually the only district court to have jurisdiction in more than one state. But that's beside the point. The loophole essentially boils down to this. The 6th Amendment to the United States Constitution decrees that juries in federal criminal cases must be made up of citizens who are from both the district and state where the crime was committed. This usually wouldn't be a problem, as the case could be held at a court in Wyoming if it were under Wyoming's government. But since this jurisdiction seeps into parts of Idaho and Montana, you'd need citizens from those areas too to make up a jury. This would also be fine if that area of Idaho had established residents and an appropriate courthouse. But it doesn't. This means that a criminal case cannot be legally tried in this part of Idaho where the crime took place, as there are no jury representatives from the area to give a fair case. This whole debacle was first brought about by a law professor at Michigan State University named Brian C. Kalt, while he was writing an essay on citizens' rights to a fair and quick trial. While researching the topic, he thought to himself, I wonder if there's a place in the US where a proper jury couldn't be formed, and therefore, a fair trial could never go ahead. After doing a bit of digging, he realized there was such a place: Yellowstone. Kalt quickly switched the subject of his paper to this loophole and later published his findings in 2005. He was initially terrified that someone would see his paper and actually go commit a crime, knowing full well that they wouldn't be able to be prosecuted. He was so worried about it that for the next couple of years he tried to get the US government to fix this situation. He came up with a solution: make that section of the park part of the District Court of Idaho instead of Wyoming. He pitched this to the Wyoming government, but they ultimately rejected the proposal, as it made the way Wyoming governs the park incredibly inconvenient. The Wyoming District Court didn't even see the Zone of Death as a huge issue, as it's such a remote area. It would be difficult for organized crime to even take place there on a large scale. In 2007, there was another brief campaign for the loophole to be fixed when the Wyoming Senator Mike Enzi caught wind of the situation after the novel Free Fire was published, which mentioned the Zone of Death. Enzi told Congress about the loophole in an attempt to get a new law passed, but just like Kalt, his proposal was turned down. In fact, the only reported crime that's occurred since the paper was published was carried out by a poacher named Michael Belderain when he illegally shot an elk in the Montana section of Yellowstone, and this wasn't even carried out in the actual Zone of Death. To this day, the Zone of Death is still very much a real place. It's somewhat surprising that no crimes have been recorded in the area. Well, at least none that have been properly documented. But who knows? This relaxing country park could be home to drug barons and warlords in the future, or it could be home to rabbits and moose. Who knows? Only time will tell.